The Galactic Concord ruled most known space. Thousands of species sat beneath its floating crystal dome, each one powerful in its own way. Energy beings, silicon mines, bioengineered warforms older than stars. And today they were laughing. At the center of the council floor stood a human delegation, 3 figures in plain dark uniforms. No glowing skin. No psychic halo. No visible weapons. Just humans. They still use metal, hissed Ambassador Threx of the Virelian swarm, his mandibles clicking with amusement. Primitive alloys. Physical armor. How ancient. Holograms rotated above the chamber, displaying human warships. Thick hulls. Layered plating. Visible rivets and seams. No energy shields. The council laughed louder. Supreme Arbiter Zale, a being of living light, addressed the humans. You have been evaluated, Zale said calmly. Your species shows adaptability, yes, but your technology is inefficient. Your ships are slow. You rely on kinetic weapons and armor when shields are the standard. Human Admiral Elena Ward met his gaze without blinking. We armor our ships for a reason, she said. Threx chittered. Because you fear progress? Because, Ward replied evenly, shields fail. That only made the laughter worse. The Concord had already decided. Humanity would be admitted, not as equals but as a protected minor power. No vote in military matters. No fleet expansion beyond assigned sectors. A polite cage. Outside the council, human officers watched the proceedings in silence. Captain Jonah Hale whispered to his aide, "They think we're stupid." "No," the aide replied. "They think we're harmless." Far beyond the Concord's borders, something ancient stirred. And humanity would be tested sooner than anyone expected. Part 2, First Blood in Vacuum. The attack came without warning. A Concord listening post on the edge of the Perseus expanse went dark in 6 seconds. No distress call. No debris field. Just silence. The attackers were the Car Dominion, a species of living crystal and plasma, long believed extinct. Their ships cut through space like knives of light, shields layered upon shields. The Concord panicked. Fleets mobilized, confident as always. The first battle was a massacre. Car weapons phased through shields, destabilizing energy fields with terrifying precision. Concord cruisers exploded in brilliant flashes, their defenses useless. One by one the great fleets fell back. Then the Concord did something desperate. They called the humans. Admiral Ward listened as the request arrived. "You want our ships," she said flatly. "You are available," Arbiter Zale replied. Captain Hale stood beside her. "They're throwing us in front." Ward nodded. "Good. That's where armor belongs." Human fleets jumped in formation. Ugly, blocky vessels compared to sleek alien craft. No glowing shields. Just dark hulls layered in composite steel, ceramic, and classified materials. The car fired first. Beams of annihilation slammed into human ships. And stopped. Armor glowed red. Plates cracked. Outer layers burned away. But the ships held. Inside the car command vessel, confusion rippled. Impossible, their war mind resonated. Why do they not dissolve? Human railguns answered. Solid slugs, dense, fast, unstoppable, punched through car shields and shattered crystal hulls. For the first time in centuries the car lost a ship. The Concord watched in stunned silence. "They're tanking the fire," Zale whispered. Captain Hale grinned grimly. "Welcome to kinetic warfare." Part 3, The Lesson of Attrition. The car adapted quickly. They always did. They increased firepower, focused beams, and overloaded human armor. Ships began to fall, slowly, brutally. But humans didn't retreat. They advanced. Every damaged vessel stayed in line until its weapons failed. Every retreat was covered. Every loss calculated. Human fleets fought like they expected to bleed. Alien fleets had never needed to. In a private channel, Virelian Ambassador Threx confronted Admiral Ward. "You are sacrificing your ships." Ward's voice was calm. "No. We're buying time." Behind the front lines, human factories roared. Modular shipyards rebuilt hulls faster than alien yards could recharge shields. Humans didn't rely on perfection. They relied on replacement. The car began to hesitate. Their war mind analyzed probabilities and found something unfamiliar. Attrition. Human ships rammed when weapons failed. Marines in armored suits boarded crystal vessels, fighting hand-to-hand in zero gravity. The galaxy watched in horror and awe. Part 4, The Politics of Fear. The Concord fractured. Some species demanded peace with the car. Others demanded humans be given full command. Zale convened an emergency council. Why armor? Zale asked Ward directly. Why not shields? Ward answered softly. Because shields teach you to fear damage. Armor teaches you to endure it. She projected data, centuries of human warfare. Trenches, bombings, planetary sieges. We evolved knowing protection would fail, she continued. So we learned what to do after. The council was silent. Then the car sent an ultimatum. Surrender humanity. The war ends. Every eye turned to the human delegation. Captain Hale leaned forward. Send this back, he said. The message was simple. No. Part 5, The Trap of Steel. Humans changed tactics. They baited the car into the Rook's grave, a dense asteroid field wrapped around a dead star. Alien admirals scoffed. Human ships entered first, slow, armored, vulnerable. The car followed. Then humans detonated the field. Asteroids' real mass slammed into car ships. Shields failed under physical impact. Armor shrugged it off. Human vessels emerged scarred but firing. Railguns, missiles, boarding torpedoes. The car warmind fractured under chaos it could not predict. For the first time the car fled. The galaxy realized something terrible. Humans weren't just surviving. They were learning faster. Part 6, Apex revealed. The final battle took place above Earth. The car came with everything. So did humanity. New human ships arrived, larger, darker, layered with absurd levels of armor. Not just defense but momentum weapons built into hulls. Human ships collided deliberately, turning mass into weapons. Admiral Ward addressed the fleet. Remember, she said, they can't imagine losing. We can. The battle was brutal, close, and personal. When it ended, the car flagship lay broken, its core pierced by a human cruiser that had kept flying after being declared destroyed. The car surrendered. Part 7, Why Humans Armor Their Ships. Resolution. The Concorde changed forever. Humans were no longer a minor power. They were named strategic apex species. In the rebuilt council chamber, Zale spoke quietly to Admiral Ward. We thought shields meant superiority. Ward smiled faintly. Shields stopped the first hit. Armor wins the last. Human ships now guarded Concorde space, scarred, repaired, undefeated. And across the galaxy, new fleets began adding something unfamiliar to their designs. Armor. Because they had learned the truth too late. Humans didn't armor their ships because they were weak. They armored them because they expected to survive anything. And usually did. The attack began with silence. One moment, Concorde listening post Aegis 9 floated peacefully at the edge of the Perseus expanse, its silver lattice gleaming against the stars. The next moment, every signal vanished. No alarm. No distress beacon. No debris. Just absence. At first, the Concorde assumed malfunction. Listening posts failed sometimes. Rarely, but it happened. Then a second post went dark. Then a third. Across the galactic network, fear spread like a cold wave. Supreme Arbiter Zale summoned emergency commanders from every major fleet. Vast holograms filled the council chamber, tactical maps blooming with red voids where stations had once been. They are striking beyond shield detection, reported Admiral Threx of the Luminari Armada. Our sensors register no energy surge prior to destruction. Impossible, snapped Threx of the Varelian Swarm. Nothing penetrates Concorde shields without warning. But the proof hovered before them. Then the enemy revealed itself. A Concorde patrol fleet jumped into the Perseus expanse and never returned. Moments later, a single image burst through emergency channels. A distorted recording pulled from a dying probe. Crystal ships. Jagged, luminous vessels formed of translucent geometry, glowing with internal fire. Their shields layered like refracted light, bending reality itself. Weapons fired silently, beams slipping through space as if it were water. The name echoed through forbidden archives. The Car Dominion. An ancient empire. Adaptive. Relentless. Believed erased during a forgotten galactic war. They are not extinct, Zale whispered. They are hunting, said a strategist quietly. The Concorde fleets mobilized in confidence born of centuries without true defeat. And were shattered. The first engagement lasted 4 minutes. Energy lances phased through Concorde shields as if they weren't there. Cruisers split apart in clean, surgical cuts. Battleships collapsed inward, their shield generators overloaded and turned against them. Admirals screamed orders that no longer mattered. The Concorde retreated. Panic gripped the council. Then someone said the unthinkable. Call the humans. There was hesitation, embarrassment, desperation. But extinction was persuasive. Admiral Elena Ward received the request aboard the human flagship UNS Iron Resolve. She read it once, then again. "They want us in the front," Captain Jonah Hale said quietly. Ward nodded. "They always do when shields fail." Human fleets assembled quickly. Not elegant, not glowing. Just dark, armored shapes sliding into formation. No energy shields bloomed around them. Alien observers watched in disbelief. "They enter combat naked?" one commander muttered. The human ships jumped. They emerged directly into car-controlled space. The enemy reacted instantly. Beams of annihilation slammed into the human vanguard. Inside the Iron Resolve, the deck shook violently. Warning lights flared. Hull temperatures spiked. But the ship did not break. Armor plates glowed red, then orange. Outer layers vaporized. Beneath them, secondary plating absorbed the force. Structural frames flexed and held. Crew members braced, trained, calm. "Damage report," Ward ordered. "Outer armor compromised," an officer replied. "Internal systems stable. Weapons online." Ward smiled slightly. "Return fire." Human railguns thundered. Dense metal slugs accelerated to obscene velocities, tearing through space. They hit car shields and, astonishingly, kept going. The first car cruiser shattered, crystalline hull exploding into shards of burning light. Silence filled the human bridge. Then cheers. Across the battlefield, car vessels hesitated. Their warmind analyzed probabilities. This outcome was not among them. "They are resisting," the car command resonance pulsed. "They are enduring." Human ships advanced through enemy fire, bleeding armor with every hit, but never stopping. When a cruiser lost engines, it still fired. When a destroyer lost weapons, it rammed. Boarding alarms rang aboard car vessels as human marines breached hulls using explosive charges and physical drills. Hand-to-hand combat erupted in vacuum-lit corridors. The Concorde watched in stunned horror and awe. "They don't retreat when damaged," Zale murmured. Captain Hale opened a channel to the council. "You build ships that die when shields fail," he said evenly. "We build ships that fight after." The car regrouped and intensified their assault. Human losses mounted, ships torn open, crews lost. But the line held. The car did not expect this. They expected panic, collapse, surrender. Instead they found something new. A species that planned for pain. As the battle ended, both sides withdrew, bloodied, shocked. But only one side was smiling. In the quiet of the Iron Resolve, Ward looked at the scarred hull on the main screen. "They'll adapt," Hale said. "Yes," Ward replied. "And so will we." Far away, deep within car command space, the Warmind recorded a new threat classification. Humanity, unpredictable, dangerous, and for the first time in ages, the galaxy's apex predators felt fear. The galaxy had never seen war like this. For centuries, conflict had been clean, brief, calculated. Shields failed, ships died, and survivors retreated to rebuild. No one planned for prolonged damage. Humans did. The second major engagement unfolded in the Orelise corridor, a narrow stretch of space linking 12 Concorde systems. Losing it would fracture trade routes and starve entire worlds. The Concorde fleets assembled first, sleek, radiant, confident. Human ships arrived last. Scarred, repaired, reinforced. Many still bore blackened armor plates from the first battle, welded instead of replaced. Alien commanders whispered among themselves. Why do they not repair fully? Why return damaged ships to battle? Admiral Elena Ward stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, watching the mixed fleet align. "Because," she said quietly, "perfection wastes time." The car arrived like a storm of light. Their formation was flawless. Shields layered in overlapping geometry, weapons synchronized by a shared warmind. They opened fire at maximum range. Energy lances tore into the Concorde vanguard. One by one alien shields collapsed, and ships died instantly. Human vessels moved forward, not to replace them but to stand where they fell. The first human cruiser absorbed a full car barrage. Armor cracked. Internal gravity failed. Fires erupted. It did not retreat. It fired. Railgun slugs punched into car lines, smashing through shields already weakened by sustained output. Missiles followed, primitive by Concorde standards but relentless. "Target human ships," the car warmind ordered. "Break their resistance." Fire intensified. Human ships began to fall. But something strange happened. The human line did not collapse. Each destroyed vessel left debris real mass that cluttered the battlefield. Wreckage interfered with car maneuvering and shield coherence. Human ships used it as cover, hiding behind shattered hulls. Alien tacticians stared at the displays in disbelief. They are using their own dead as terrain, one whispered. On the Iron Resolve, Captain Hale watched casualty numbers climb. Losses at 30%, an officer reported. Ward nodded. Acceptable. Hale looked at her sharply. She met his eyes. We don't win by surviving untouched. We win by surviving longer. The car warmind struggled. Every battle model assumed opponents would retreat once losses crossed a threshold. Humans crossed that threshold and kept advancing. Boarding actions increased. Human Marines launched from disabled ships, cutting their way into enemy hulls. They fought in silence, magnetic boots gripping crystal floors, bullets shattering alien forms at close range. The car had never experienced boarding combat. They had never needed to. Within the Concord Council chamber, chaos erupted. You are letting them slaughter themselves? Screeched Ambassador Threx. Withdraw the humans. Zale watched the battle feeds, luminous face unreadable. No, the Arbiter said slowly. Watch. Hours passed. The car advanced slowed. Then stalled. Their ships were not designed for prolonged punishment. Shields overheated. Power redistribution caused cascading failures. Human ships, battered and broken, kept firing. A human destroyer, engines gone, half its hull missing, drifted directly into a car cruiser and detonated its reactor. The explosion crippled 3 enemy vessels. Silence filled the council chamber. They planned for death, Zale murmured. They weaponize it. As the battle finally ended, the car withdrew, not defeated but shaken. Human losses were heavy. But the corridor held. In the aftermath, Threx confronted Ward in a private channel. This is madness, he hissed. You cannot sustain this. Ward's expression was tired. Human. We've sustained worse, she replied. On single planets. The Varelian recoiled. Planets? Ward sent historical footage. Cities burning. Trenches. Sieges lasting years. We evolved fighting wars where retreat meant extinction, she said. You evolved avoiding damage. Threx said nothing. Far away within the crystalline depths of Car Command space, the Warmind updated its core logic. Enemy does not fear loss. Enemy replaces faster than expected. Enemy adapts during battle. A new directive formed. Increase pressure. Break morale. Force surrender. The car would strike civilian worlds next. And humanity would respond in a way the galaxy would never forget. The car did not understand mercy. To them, war was mathematics. Pressure applied until resistance collapsed. If fleets did not break an enemy, then civilians would. So they changed targets. The first human colony burned in silence. Haven 12 was not a fortress world. It was a mining colony wrapped around a dying star, its population small, its defenses minimal. Concord law forbade militarization of such worlds. The car did not care. Crystal ships emerged from hyperspace without warning. Their weapons cut through orbital platforms and civilian transports alike. Cities evaporated in blinding light. No surrender demand was sent. Only destruction. The recording reached Earth hours later. In the Concord Council chamber, the footage played on repeat. Human refugees screaming. A child's voice cut short mid-sentence. Some council members turned away. Others watched, frozen. Ambassador Threx spoke first, his voice trembling. This is because of you. You provoked them. Admiral Elena Ward stood slowly. No, she said quietly. This is because they think fear works on us. Supreme Arbiter Zale raised a glowing hand. The car believe morale collapse ends wars. It has ended many. Ward met his gaze. Then they have misunderstood our species. Behind closed doors, Concord politics shattered. Several species demanded immediate peace, total capitulation if necessary. Others demanded humanity be restrained, even surrendered, to stop the slaughter. A motion was introduced. Humanity to be offered to the car as a concession. The chamber erupted. Captain Jonah Hale slammed his fist on the table. You give us up and they won't stop, he said. They'll just learn it works. They already believe it works, snapped a delegate. Your people die because you refuse to kneel. Ward stepped forward. We kneel to no one, she said. And if you force us, then we fight alone. Silence followed. Zale studied the human delegation. For the first time, doubt flickered in the Arbiter's ancient mind. Explain, Zale said. Ward exhaled slowly. You see fear as weakness, she said. We see it as fuel. The car didn't break us. She brought up new data. They unified us. Across human space, something unprecedented was happening. Old rivalries vanished overnight. Corporate fleets, planetary militias, private shipyards, all mobilized under a single command. Production skyrocketed. Human factories stopped building luxury ships. They built armor. Thicker, angled, layered, designed to survive catastrophic failure. Human ship hulls grew ugly and terrifying. The car struck again. This time at Kestrel Reach, a mixed Concorde system. They expected panic. They found traps. Human evacuation fleets had already moved civilians away. What remained were empty cities and reinforced orbital platforms, each one packed with kinetic mines and mass drivers. When car ships arrived, the system exploded. Asteroids, satellites, even station debris were hurled into their formation at relativistic speeds. Shields flickered. Armor, what little the car possessed, failed. Human ships emerged from behind planetary shadows, firing relentlessly. This is not defense. The car warmind resonated in confusion. This is retaliation. Yes, it was. The Concorde watched the battle in stunned silence. Humans were no longer reacting. They were shaping the battlefield. Zale opened a private channel to Ward. You anticipated this, the Arbiter said. Ward's voice was steady, but there was steel beneath it. We always do. You call them atrocities. She paused. We call them mistakes. The car began broadcasting messages directly to human space. Images of destroyed colonies. Threats. Promises of annihilation. The response was immediate. Human fleets did not answer with words. They answered with action. A classified human task force, Iron Veil, crossed into car territory for the first time. What they found shocked even Concorde intelligence. The car home systems were optimized for efficiency, not defense. Massive shield grids. Minimal armor. No redundancy. They had never expected to be invaded. Human ships hit hard and close. They rammed through shield nodes. Deployed breaching charges directly onto crystalline hulls. Marines fought inside enemy cities, on alien soil. For the first time in their history, the car knew fear. Back in the Concorde chamber, the vote was cancelled. Instead, a new declaration passed unanimously. Humanity granted full military authority within the Concorde. Supreme Arbiter Zale addressed the council. We believed fear controlled war, Zale said. We were wrong. The Arbiter turned to the human delegation. You do not break when threatened. You sharpen. Ward nodded once. And the car, she said quietly, are about to learn why terror tactics only work once. Far beyond Concorde space, the car warmind re-evaluated its strategy. Civilian attacks had failed. Morale had not collapsed. Instead, the enemy had grown stronger. A final solution was forming. One that would end humanity completely. And force the galaxy to witness the true apex of human warfare. The car decided to end the war in one stroke. They would not bleed the humans slowly. They would not trade fleets ship for ship. They would crush humanity's command structure, erase their morale centers, and shatter their unity in a single overwhelming blow. The target was obvious. Every species in the Concorde knew the name now. The human cradle world. Politically symbolic. Militarily dangerous. Emotionally irreplaceable. The car assembled the largest armada the galaxy had seen since ancient extinction wars. Thousands of crystal warships. Shield matrices overlapping into a single luminous wall. Reality bent around them as they advanced. Concorde observers panicked. They are committing everything, Zale said softly. If Earth falls. Admiral Elena Ward interrupted. Then they lose. Zale turned sharply. Explain. Ward brought up a star map. Between the car armada and Earth lay a region most navigators avoided. The Rook's Grave. A dense, chaotic expanse of asteroid belts, wrecked megastructures and gravitational shear from a dead star collapsed into a dark singularity. Sensors malfunctioned there. Shields destabilized. Navigation was a nightmare. Alien strategists recoiled. No fleet would willingly fight there, Threx said. Ward smiled thinly. Correct, she replied. Except one that doesn't rely on shields. Human fleets moved first. They entered Rook's Grave and vanished from long-range sensors. The car followed. They believed the humans were retreating. They were wrong. Inside Rook's Grave, human ships powered down non-essential systems. No glowing shields. No energy signatures beyond minimal life support. Armor scraped against drifting asteroids. Hulls rang with impacts. Crews worked in near darkness. Captain Jonah Hale addressed his bridge crew. They're bigger. They hit harder. They outnumber us. He paused. But they've never fought blind. The trap closed. Human drones, small, inert metal, drifted into car formations. The Warmind ignored them. Then humans detonated the field. Pre-placed charges shattered asteroids into kinetic storms. Wreckage, real mass, slammed into car shield walls at impossible angles. Shields flickered. Failed. Crystal ships collided with debris and each other. Formation collapsed. Human ships ignited engines. Railguns fired at point-blank range. Missiles detonated inside shield gaps. Boarding torpedoes punched through exposed hulls. Human ships rammed. Not accidentally. Deliberately. A human cruiser, its bow reinforced with layered armor meters thick, slammed into a car command vessel. Both ships shattered, but the car ship shattered first. Inside the car flagship, the Warmind fractured under conflicting data. Enemy accepts destruction. Enemy uses collision as weapon. Enemy ships are armored to strike. This is not naval combat. The Warmind pulsed in confusion. This is predation. Across the battlefield, human losses mounted. Ships burned. Crews died. But the car were losing faster. Human fleets didn't disengage damaged ships. They repurposed them. Engines became bombs. Hulls became kinetic kill vehicles. Even wrecks were guided into enemy formations. Concord observers watched in horror. They're turning their own fleet into ammunition, one whispered. Zale understood then. Humans did not armor ships to survive. They armored them to hit harder. As the car armada tried to retreat, they found their path blocked. Human reserve fleets emerged from behind the dead star's gravitational shadow. Fresh ships. Heavier armor. New designs. The car were trapped. Admiral Ward opened a channel to the car command frequency. This ends now, she said. The car Warmind responded, fractured and furious. You are irrational. You destroy yourselves to destroy us. Ward's voice was cold. We're not destroying ourselves, she said. We're deciding what we can afford to lose. Silence followed. Then the final phase began. Human ships deployed mass anchors, devices that locked onto enemy hulls and dragged them into unstable gravity wells. Crystal ships screamed as physics tore them apart. One by one, car vessels fell. When the last car flagship attempted to flee, a crippled human destroyer, declared lost hours earlier, reignited its engines and rammed it from behind. The explosion lit the grave like a newborn star. When it ended, space was filled with debris. Human fleets limped away, battered, burning, alive. The car armada was gone. In the Concord Council chamber, no one spoke. They had witnessed something beyond strategy, beyond technology. They had witnessed a species that treated war as endurance made manifest. Zale finally broke the silence. They entered a graveyard, the Arbiter said quietly, and turned it into a weapon. Far away, deep within surviving car systems, remnants of the Warmind recorded a final realization. Humans do not armor ships for defense. They armor them so the ship still matters when everything else is gone. The war was not over. But its outcome was no longer in doubt. And Earth still waited. Unbroken. The car did not surrender. They could not. Their civilization had no concept for it. To surrender was to admit miscalculation, and the car Warmind had been built on the belief that it was infallible. Even shattered, fragmented, and bleeding ships, it searched for one last equation that would erase humanity. It found one. Not invasion. Extermination. Deep within car space, a forbidden weapon awakened. An ancient stellar destabilizer designed to fracture a planet's core and turn entire systems into radiation storms. It was not a conqueror's tool. It was an eraser. The Concord detected it too late. This will annihilate the Sol system, Zale said, voice dim with dread. There will be nothing left to defend. Admiral Elena Ward stood in silence. Then she said something that chilled the room. Then we won't defend Earth. Every eye turned to her. Captain Jonah Hale stared. Elena. We won't defend it, Ward repeated. We'll weaponize it. Human Command issued Apex Doctrine, a classified contingency never shared with the Concord. Across human space, fleets moved with terrifying precision. Civilian evacuations were already complete. They had begun days ago, quietly, without panic. Earth's orbital platforms powered up. Not shields. Mass drivers. Every moon base, station, and defense ring aligned not outward, but inward. The car weapon entered Sol space escorted by the last remnants of their fleet. They expected resistance. They expected desperation. They found silence. No defensive posture detected. The car warmind resonated, confused. Human fleets absent. Then Earth moved. Planetary thrusters, ancient, hidden systems buried deep in Earth's crust, ignited. Not enough to flee. Enough to shift. The car weapon fired. The beam struck Earth's upper atmosphere and shattered. The planet's reinforced mantle, lined with artificial density layers, impact-absorbing megastructures built secretly over generations, absorbed the blow. The surface burned. The planet endured. Before the car could recalibrate, Earth answered. The planet fired back. Every mass driver launched at once. Millions of tons of rock, steel, and debris accelerated to relativistic speed. Earth became a gun. The car weapon vanished in a silent flash. Their remaining fleet broke formation in panic. That was when humanity arrived. Human ships emerged from hyperspace all around Sol. Hundreds of them, many visibly damaged, some barely holding together. They formed a sphere around Earth. A wall of armor. Admiral Ward opened a channel to all frequencies. "This system is closed," she said. "Leave or be erased." The car warmind responded weakly. "You turned your world into a weapon." Ward's reply was simple. "We turned it into a promise." The final battle was short. Without their superweapon, without formation, without certainty, the car collapsed. Human ships struck with precision now, no longer desperate, no longer sacrificing blindly. This was execution. When it ended, the last car vessel drifted powerless above Earth. Boarding pods attached. Captain Hale led the boarding team personally. Inside the crystalline core, the fractured warmind pulsed dimly. "You are inefficient," it resonated. "You suffer losses willingly." Hale removed his helmet. "Yeah," he said. "That's the point." The warmind tried to calculate a response. Failed. Humanity did not fit equations. It was shut down. Across the galaxy, the Concorde watched the aftermath. Earth scarred. Human fleets battered. Humanity alive. Supreme Arbiter Zale addressed the Council with a voice unlike any heard before, humble. "We believe the apex species were those who avoided damage," Zale said. "We were wrong." The Arbiter turned toward the human delegation. "You build armor not because you expect to be hit." Zale paused. "But because you expect to keep fighting after." Ward said nothing. She was watching Earth slowly rotate beneath the fleet, burned, wounded, unbowed. The war was over. But its meaning was just beginning to spread. Across shipyards and academies throughout the galaxy, alien engineers began revising designs. Adding mass. Adding redundancy. Adding armor. They would never match humanity. But they had finally learned why humans had ruled battlefields long before they reached the stars. Because humanity was not built to avoid pain. It was built to endure it. The galaxy did not celebrate. It recalibrated. In the months after the Battle of Sol, Concorde space moved differently. Fleets traveled in tighter formations. Diplomats spoke more carefully. Ancient species revised doctrines that had stood unchanged for millennia. Because one assumption had died. That survival meant avoiding damage. Humanity had proven something far more unsettling. Survival meant enduring damage and continuing anyway. Supreme Arbiter Zale convened the Concorde Council one final time. The chamber looked the same, but the mood had changed completely. Where humans once stood as curiosities, they now stood at the center. Admiral Elena Ward addressed the assembly, not as a supplicant but as a peer. "The war is over," she said. "The Car Dominion no longer exists as a unified threat. Their worlds have been disarmed. Their warmind dismantled." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Threx of the Virelian swarm spoke carefully now. "You have won. What do you demand?" Ward considered the question. "We don't want dominion," she said. "We don't want tribute. And we don't want obedience." The council leaned forward. "We want one thing," Ward continued. "Never underestimate survival again." Zale nodded slowly. "Humanity will be designated a strategic apex species," the Arbiter declared. "Your fleets will command joint defense operations. Your doctrine will be taught in Concorde academies. A title never before granted. Not to the oldest species. Not to the most technologically advanced. To the most durable." Across Concorde space, alien engineers studied human wrecks recovered from battlefields. They examined scarred hulls that should not have flown. Ships that had lost engines, power, entire sections, and still fought. They found layers. Redundancy upon redundancy. Manual overrides for systems long replaced by automation. Crew compartments buried deep inside armor like seeds in stone. Human ships were not elegant. They were honest. On Earth, reconstruction began immediately. Cities rebuilt beside scars. Memorials stood next to shipyards. Children played under the shadows of orbital docks, assembling the next generation of human vessels. Captain Jonah Hale stood with Admiral Ward overlooking a dry dock where a new cruiser took shape. Armor plates were being lowered into place. Thick, angled, heavy. "They're copying us," Hale said, nodding toward alien observers recording every detail. Ward smiled faintly. "They can copy the metal," she said. "They can't copy the mindset." A new alien ambassador approached them, a species of light given solid form. "Why?" the ambassador asked softly. "Why build ships this way when you could build them lighter, faster?" Hale answered before Ward could. "Because someday," he said, "someone will hit you harder than expected." The ambassador said nothing. Years passed. No empire challenged humanity. Pirate fleets vanished when human patrols arrived. Border conflicts ended the moment armored hulls appeared on sensors. Not because humans threatened. Because everyone remembered what happened when they were tested. Deep in the archives of the Concorde, a single phrase was added beneath humanity's profile. They do not build for victory. They build for survival after defeat. And in a final recovered fragment of the Car War mind, decoded long after the war, one message remained. A conclusion. Error, humanity classified too late. Armor is not weakness. Armor is intent. Humans armored their ships because they expected to be hit. Because they expected the universe to be cruel. And because they intended to still be standing when everything else failed. That was why the galaxy would never forget them. That was why no one would ever laugh again.